Hello, everyone. This is Richard C. Wilson at the Family Office Club, and I have with me today Paul Worceste from Simplifyy. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Richard, for having me.
Sure. And what does Simplifyy do?
So Simplifyy is the first company to take software and management and combine it into one solution that saves apartment owners money and gives them more data.
Okay, great. And I have interacted with probably 50 multifamily property management firms over the past 13 years. We have hundreds of multifamily investors and sponsors coming through our live events, webinars each year. For those who are familiar with the industry, have hired many property management firms before, and I know your background with your brothers, you've been in the space and that's how you identify the need for this. How do you kind of cut through all the noise of how using software is making you guys different?
Yeah, so property management is basically the same and has basically not changed in 50 years. So the good news, if you are in the apartment space, you're buying large apartment communities, everything you know to be true about operating those apartments, I'm here to tell you is actually changing and is not going to be true. Every day it increasingly changes. And so the rules of thumb about how you underwrite and the variable costs to operate apartment property, the good news I'm here to share is that technology, for the first time, Simplifyy as a leader, is untapping wealth and net operating income that has been hidden and has not been exposed due to just a really, really poor use of technology, almost zero. Now is exposing, you can operate those properties more efficiently, and so there's more dollars at the end of the month on your operating statement.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that lots of people realize when cap rates are relatively low, any dollar dropping to the net income, the net operating income, just magnifies the value creation. So if you know how to create value, then you're obviously going to be rewarded handsomely for that in this environment. What is your kind of value add process as someone goes from using an old school system or doing property management themselves with, I don't know if it's hiring Simplifyy and now they don't do anything themselves, or are you a software they put on top of their own hands-on work, or what's that value add process look like for someone?
Yeah, so the way it works today is you'd hire ABC Property Management. You actually don't hire any software as the owner. You hire the property manager. The software and all the contract services, CoStar, and then all the various softwares, their actually customer is the property management company, which is backwards. They should actually be serving you as the owner. So what Simplifyy does is we are both. So because we cut out the middlemen, we are property management and we are a software company. So we replace whoever you'd be using as your property management, and we're able to operate that property for less money than you're paying today, guaranteed. And previously, historically, we haven't as an industry really worried about this because rent growth has been so beautiful. I came into this industry with nothing and became a multimillionaire 100% due to this industry, and it's been amazing. But the problem now with COVID, with collections and delinquency being a problem, rent growth is stalling, slowing way down. That leaves, for the first time in the industry, or in my history of 14 years in the industry, we really have one way to impact NOI now in a material way. And that's for the first time as an industry to look at everything we thought to be true about how we operate apartments. It can be changing in a positive way now.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I know you guys had big success scaling in the past, with your multifamily group yourself, so you know the industry well. I would imagine that someone could keep their current property manager honest if they have, say, 3 properties and they try one out with Simplifyy and just see what the differences are between doing it the old school way and then using your system and seeing what that difference is in NOI or difference in results. Do you have some people doing that now? Is that how you kind of get your foot in the door and prove yourself to people, or?
That's exactly what we're doing. We're building out our model in Kansas City. We've got a number of customers that have thousands of apartment units, and they're starting off with one. They're giving us a second, and we're just running a side by side. They're comparing historically, how did this property run, and then compared to their other properties that they have, we're comparing it with Simplifyy, and we're performing really, really attractively.
Great. Awesome. And what about in terms of due diligence? Some people maybe had one property manager from the beginning, or they've always done it themselves. they may not know what the smartest due diligence question is to ask to someone like yourself. So they're kind of unsure maybe about that process. What would be like a really sharp due diligence question to really pull out whether they're getting a better ROI from one local group that maybe they had a good reference on versus yourself? What's that question they should ask maybe?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good people in the property management industry. The problem is the model is just broken. So I charge, if I'm a traditional property management company, I charge a fee based upon revenue, and then I literally pass everything through to you, the owner. I don't really care. I'm just being transparent. As a property manager, I mean, I could lose you as a customer, as an owner, but I don't really feel the pain when payroll goes up. That's passed to you. I don't feel the pain when the marketing and advertising and admin, costs go up every year. I still make my fee. What I would encourage an owner to do is to be looking at companies like Simplifyy that are truly aligned. We actually bear all those costs. When my payroll goes up, it's on us. At the property, we own all the property payroll outside of maintenance. When the advertising spend goes up, that I bear that. And so I would encourage to look for greater alignment. I think that's where the industry is going.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like there's a new type of CEO like yourself and myself. Neither of us are 85 years old, and it doesn't mean someone couldn't have this approach and be 72 years old. But I feel like there's this new wave of CEO, regardless of age, that says, look, I have a chance now to create a company in any way I want to, within like laws of, the laws of where you're based on, of course, but you can choose any structure you want to. So why not design something so that the incentives are aligned to do well when my client goes very well? Because selfishly, that makes the sales pitch very low friction to say, hey, look, we're much more aligned than anyone else you're considering. That's exactly what we did with our investor portal and having performance fees only. We've been able to bring in a couple hundred investors on that and get good momentum. And I see that. I didn't realize that when looking at your website, but in you describing it that way, it seems like you're of a similar mindset of, if we have an offering in the marketplace that structurally is just different than everyone else's, then when someone really takes the time to sit down and look at what we're doing, they're going to at least want to give it a try because it's so much more aligned than everyone else, right?
Yeah, Simplifyy was really built out of the pain I experienced every day. We built a management company of 4,000 apartment units in the Kansas City area, 120 employees. And I looked at myself in the mirror every day, and I was part of the problem. I'm not saying I had everything figured out. I looked at myself enough times and I said, we're not getting better. Every time a problem occurs, there's a leasing problem, we just throw people at the problem. We just hire another person. This is the way it's always been done, is the statement that goes across. And I just said, I'm not comfortable with that. And so I went out and found a co-founder who is a brilliant tech mind. And we began introducing technology that empowers our people. Our people are doing literally 5 and 10 times the work outcomes of the industry, people that they're compared to. And that's just because the technology makes them far more efficient.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense that maybe it's just that whole trend of digitization that's just going across the whole economy even faster than before because of COVID. But now it's an example of, you need your properties to perform in this kind of volatile time period where some people think CREs should be repriced more, while others are trying to make it to the other side and think their assets can be worth the same as before COVID. Then this is a way to kind of shore up their finances along the way, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I think, we have cap rate as a measurable, across the markets. And we don't ever think about, as an industry, property management. It's just kind of like, okay, that's an afterthought. I'll hire my property management. I'm here to share that for the first time, really in many decades, there is an intrinsic advantage. I can introduce like a Simplifyy, and we can take the very same property that would be managed by someone else, and you can produce more net operating income. So for the owners and investors in the space, over, I think, the next 5-ish years, the industry is going to be changing, and you're going to be buying a property from a really old school mentality who they do it the way it's been done, and you're going to go in day one, take over that property and introduce technology, and you're going to bump the NOI. I'm not talking about raising the rents. Everyone talks about raising the rents, rent growth, and you do a big CapEx repositioning project. That's all great, but that's a lot of risk and work. I'm talking about literally just reducing the day-to-day costs and by using technology. That, I think, in 5 to 7 years, the industry will have totally changed and that opportunity will kind of have gone away. But I think over this next few years, there's an enormous opportunity because really everybody underwrites the same way. Everybody underwrites management fees the same way until now.
Right, for sure. Okay. And for what it's worth, I've had Paul's brother Jesse speak at several of our events before. I've known them for 3 or 4 years. When he said they have a background in multifamily, they haven't bought 3 or 4 duplexes. They've bought thousands of doors of multifamily and done real size projects and that are probably of similar size to people listening to this. So just want to kind of check the box on that for people wondering if he has any real background or if it's just some fluff story. It is real and genuine, I know. To leave us, to end out the interview, what's the number one insight or $100,000 piece of advice you could leave us with for today?
I think just to have an open mind. If you're in the industry and you are investing millions of dollars, you have leverage against these assets, I would encourage you to look at these assets with an open mind and say, I might try something a little bit new, a little bit on the cutting edge, because I think there's opportunity that's exposed. And if you are in that, place, reach out to my team, call me. We'd love to help you in any way we can.
Okay, great. And what is the best way to get directly in touch with you and your team?
Yeah, you can go to Simplifyy with an extra y.com. You can ping me directly at Paul@Simplifyy with an extra y.com. And I'd love to help you in any way that we could.
Okay, great. Well, appreciate your time here today, Paul. And hopefully we could have you on one of our discussion panels or virtual summits coming up. Because it seems like what you're doing is truly innovative and different from anything else I've heard over the last decade running the Family Office Club. So I appreciate you being part of the community.
Thank you, Richard, for having me.
Yep, thank you.